Okay. First questions. Kate and Bake, congratulations on the site. Thank you. It's a wonderful venture. I look forward to exploring it more through this political season and beyond. Would ASP ever endorse a person, party, or policy, or do you want to stay strictly an info source? Yeah, that's the goal. For right now, we're trying to stay as unbiased and as impartial as possible. Obviously, it's no secret I have my political leanings, but we worked really hard to remove that from the site, and I think endorsing a candidate or a politician, or I mean, even the way we were trying to figure out how to arrange the site. You know, if we don't have likes or dislikes, there's no comment section. So the idea of creating an algorithm to say, well, if something is viewed a lot of times, do you put that at the top, or do you have a trending bar so that if their daily point clicks one of those keywords, you list it up earlier? But again, there's so many ways that you can counterpunch those algorithms and trick the mechanism, and we just want it to be fair. We want it to be unbiased. So for now, at least, until we get some feedback that says otherwise, we're leaving it completely impartial, and you know, posts go up as they come in, and in a very long-winded way, no, we would never endorse a particular individual or a political belief. Okay, next question. American Blonde asks, will there be an opportunity for some attention to LGBTQ rights, Black Lives Matter, POC, Native Americans, and women's rights? I'm thinking if 3 Ds and 3 Rs are needed for inclusion. How do you look out so a topic is not left aside like USA trans rights? That's a really good question. That's a good question. I'm glad we get to address it. Well, there's 3 sections to the site. Sections 2 and 3, daily points, counterpoints. Obviously, the elected officials can talk about anything they want to talk about. The first section, starting points, where we compiled a list of questions across the political landscape and sent them to elected officials, and we tried to get at least 3 Democrats, at least 3 Republicans. There were issues that were not touched, that were not addressed. Sometimes nobody would answer. Sometimes maybe one party would answer, and it was frustrating to us. But let me put it this way: there's a reason and there's a plan. The reason, look, we were trying to cultivate a new relationship. We were trying to form trust with a group of people who had no reason to trust us. We were asking them for something without being able to really properly convey what we were going to do with that information. So we anticipated some apprehension at first. The goal is, over time, if this works, if this site can show its symbiotic worth and we grow in strength and we have enough traffic to show the value to the elected officials, hopefully, you know, the next round of this, we will be able to demand for more answers. Their silence will be deafening. You know, at this stage, we didn't want to let perfect be the enemy of good, but believe me, there were things that we wanted up in that first section of starting points that were not there. But again, the plan is, the goal, the hope is that over time, if we can show our strength, we'll be undeniable, and that stuff will be there. Okay, next question. Sass Princess XX, are you going to stick to having only officials currently holding positions answering questions, or open it up to those running in elections? If so, will there be a separate tab for elections, topics, and discussions? You know, this is a good question as well. Initially, you know, we were trying to figure out, well, who makes the cut? Who do we interview? You know, sometimes we even thought, maybe it's not elected officials. Maybe it's, you know, if you ask a question about the economy, shouldn't you talk to an economist? But then very quickly it drifts into subjectivity. You know, who is going to be deemed an expert on a certain subject, and all of a sudden that can sow distrust. So we decided the lines would be, you'd have to be an elected official, either current or former. You know, you're someone who's voted on laws and affected people's lives. You've been in that political arena, and I think that's important for the electorate to know who those players are. So we started there. Now, I tell you what, the idea of opening up to people who are running is fantastic. One of the good things about this endeavor, I'm so used to movies where you make a movie and it's a final product and that's it. You release it and it's over. We can continue to work on this. We can fix this car while it's on the road. So I actually love that idea of again, connecting voters with the people who are either in office or maybe about to be in office. It's a great idea. I'm really glad I thought of it. Okay, next question is at Cass Honey. Who is your target audience? Undecided voters, those with party affiliations, or all of the above? How can you persuade polarized voters to listen to another side of the argument? Well, target audience to me I mean, initially, I think we kind of thought that it would have a lot of impact with young people who are first, having their first exposure to the political landscape. But to be honest, and I'm guilty of this, we're living in unprecedented levels of conjecture. The amount of political discussions I've been a part of where you see people slinging around half-truths, myself included, and I've slipped out of the room to Google something because I didn't fully understand an issue. So I would argue that there's value across the spectrum of age and party affiliation. The way to persuade voters, I don't think it's going to be that hard. I think there is an exhaustion. I think people are really tired of the conjecture and the venom, and I think people are thirsty for calm, rational discussions around issues in an effort to move the ball down the field. So hopefully that won't be too hard. Okay, next question. Stephanie Likes TV asks, will you keep us updated on Dodger's surgery and recovery and post more photos of him on Instagram? Also, is there anything you still want to accomplish with ASP that you haven't already? What are the next steps? Yes, I will keep you updated on Dodger. So sad is his hip. He was limping a couple years ago and took him to the vet, and he said it was just, arthritis. They did x-rays. You know what they found? There was a BB in his hip. He was a street dog in Savannah, and somebody shot him, some punk. Anyway, they said his hip was not great, but you don't want to do surgery unnecessarily. So we waited a couple years, switched up his diet, anti-inflammatories, and then he started limping again. And they were just like, look, it's time to do it. Time to do it. He's young enough. He'll recover fast. So yeah, that's happening next week, and I think he's gonna cruise through recovery. Next part of that question was, is there anything you still want to accomplish? Yeah, of course. I mean, I think there's a lot of applications, even with the mechanism of exploring any topic really through the eyes of the people with experience in that arena. So I'm excited about thinking about where this could expand, but one thing at a time for now. Yeah. That's okay. Next question. At Emily E. Knight 724 asks, what would you tell high schoolers about why it's important to be engaged in politics at their local communities? Thank you so much. I'm so excited to use this teaching government. Well, I would say that starting locally is the best way to realize that your voice counts, that it can exact change. I think sometimes at a federal level, it's easy to feel, like a drop in the ocean and become dispassionate and disinterested. So a local level, it's fun just to get involved, to actually see the needle move. But more than anything else, young people need to be involved. I think we're still measuring the effects of the internet on the political landscape. This proliferation of disinformation is certainly attributed to the internet. And disinformation is poison to a functioning democracy. And young people have such sway in that arena in terms of making sure we stay the course, making sure that our ship is pointed in the right direction as the internet has this kind of downstream impact on our political landscape. Us old folks, we may be the engine of the ship, but you young folks, you're steering it if you want to. If you want to, you can. Yeah. Okay, next question. At Salvatore426 says, how did you feel the first time you sent the letter to the Capitol? And thank you for providing this space to encourage people to vote. A little nervous, a little silly. Optimistic, foolishly optimistic. I think in my head I just assumed who wouldn't want to be a part of this? Everybody wins here. There's not what we found. A lot of people didn't want to be a part of it, but my battery's dying. Yeah, a little nervous, a little silly. As if you go to the site and you watch the little making of video, we started with letters. Letters did nothing. Then I made video invites. They didn't do much more. It was a few rounds of invites, and then really it was more just about having other elected officials who took the time with us initially spread the word for us, because no one was buying it, or they just didn't want to do it. But yeah, at first, pretty scared. Okay, next question. At M. Olivar, at M. Olivar1. Chris, what would you say was the hardest yet most rewarding part of the whole creative process of ASP? Well, you know what you like. You know what you think works, and it's a matter of trying to convince other people who do this for a living that makes sense. We had a whole team of creative minds who build websites all the time, and I think that's one of the things that I really thought was going to separate us, was not only the mechanism itself, not only having access to elected officials directly, but the ease and functionality of the site is critical. I mean, that's why companies like Apple work so well initially, because it's just so intuitive. And I've been on so many sites where the second you walk in, it's a clutter. I mean, it makes me feel like a real old man to say this, but you're just like, well, I don't. Is this a button? Where's the back button? Does that bring me home? I hate when two buttons do the same thing. I just, if it's a button, let me know it's a button. And man, I sound so old. I just. I just wanted something easy. So the ease of the site. The hardest thing was, like I said, being in those rooms full of people who do this for a living and pitching your ideas as if it's something they haven't heard, and then trying to convince them that it was the right thing to do. And then the most satisfying is that when it comes together and you say, yeah, this is a very easy to use site. I've actually already read a few things online that are very encouraging, that it does seem to be, if nothing else, very intuitive and easy to move around in. Okay, next question. So this is from B. Valenzuela. During this unprecedented time, what was your form of entertainment during quarantine? Were you able to improve or pick up a new skill? During quarantine, I had my younger brother, Scott, with me out here in Massachusetts, and we just became children again. I mean, we kind of are anyway. But it was a lot of games, a lot of competition. We played ping pong and soccer, tennis, and wiffle ball. We went on a lot of hikes. I got a bunch of hikes near my house, so we would take my dog on hikes, some mountain biking. It was actually really great. It was nice. I mean, we're both news junkies, so it was near impossible to separate our experience from what was going on a global scale. But Mario Kart helped.